So sorry about that. Hey guys, we're going to continue now with the edit. So when we click this edit, what we want is to show a form, but we need to add that dynamically with JavaScript. So let's go to main.js and we're going to add a new function. Okay, let's see below. Create children, create form. Well, let's say this, maybe below this one on line 116. So you can change this later. You know, the order that should work. So append edit form is going to be equals to an async function. And now we're going to say let post ID. So we're going to do the same. We need to get the ID in order to fill the information. So this should be actually we're going to do 2 requests, but this could be you know, this could be better, but let's do it like this. So get post from URL get post ID from URL. So we get the post ID. So let post is going to be equals to await again Firebase. That, as I said, we're kind of repeating ourselves here because we're already doing that here and here. Okay, so yeah, I think what we could do, but I should, well, let's keep it like this. So you can just grab all that inside a function and maybe just return inside some variables, some global variables, and to store that, to store the title, data, and cover from there. But let's just leave it like that and let's continue. So it's going to be firststore that collection. So if you are interested in learning some frameworks like React or Angular, you will see the difference on all these because it's going to be easier for you to handle all these changes instead of creating the elements and all that inside those frameworks. So if you're starting with JavaScript, I think the closest thing is React because you will be using constants and variables and also the state, but that's kind of pretty easy to understand. So let's say doc post ID get. So we need to get this and catch the error if that happens, and console.log the error again if that happens. So we're going to create a new d variable and let form equals. So I'm doing this again because I want to just handle this inside, but just to show you what you could do, you could create a new let global single post, and you can say when you first get the post here, instead of saying let post, you will say a global single post is equal to this. Okay, and now you will be able to get that globally and access the values on the same from the same variable. So instead of doing all these two parts again, getting the URL and using that, you would only need to say for what we're going to do next, that is passing the values. We need to pass the values. You will just need to say a global single post that title, or data that title, global single post data that content, and so forth. Okay, but let's keep it like this, and maybe we will change it at the end, maybe just for you to have that. So we need to create new elements. So this is kind of the thing with a regular JavaScript, that if you want to append something dynamically, you need to create those references inside the document. So you will be doing a ton of create element, create not text, and all that. And also, to ensure some things, you will need to create the attributes, or add the attributes. So we're going to add the method to this form that is going to be post, and form that set attribute the ID, because we need to get a reference of this form. It's going to be edit form. So you need to think what your element needs to do, and if you want to needs to have, and if you want to grab that later. Okay, once it's in the DOM, you can grab that. Okay, so this is going to be performed when we click the edit button. So after that, you will be able to grab that using the ID. Now let's title input document that create element input. So we are going to create a new input. So title input that set attribute. Is that so? Yeah, set attribute. So we need to add the value to the input, and that's where, if you have a global variable, you could use a single, like we did before, a global, I think was the name, global single post. Let's leave it like that, and you would access data from there and the title. Okay, but we don't have that. We're going to use the post we have here on line 118. So we're going to say post data title. Okay, so you can I think you should get the idea of how to make a global variable and do that. So but we might do that later. Now title input that set attribute. This is going to be kind of a long one, so because we need to create an element and set everything. So this one is going to have the ID of edit title, and so on. So I'm going to just skip some work and paste this. Okay, so this is for the context, for the text area, document create element text area. Okay, you specify which element you want to create, and we need to set the attribute ID, okay, to be edit content. The file is similar to what we did here. We need to create another input and set the attribute of type file, because you can see that here we are not specifying the attribute, the type, because it defaults to text. So here we need to say I want this type of input to handle files. So we add the type file, and we need to add the ID. The other one, this one is going to be the all cover. So why we need this? Because if we change the image, okay, we need to have a reference of the image that was before. Okay, so this one is going to be type hidden. We will be able to access that from the document, but we will not be able to see that. Okay, so this is actually not going to be displayed, but we will have access for this, okay, to this with an ID in case we need to do something. So it's available for us using JavaScript, but we will not be able to see that in the HTML. And the last one, of course, we need a submit button. So we're going to do this document create element input with the value update post with the type of submit and with the ID of edit submit. Okay, so you can see we're using set attribute a lot because we need to set some things that in other case would be easier to do in HTML, but we're generating this dynamically, so we need to specify the attributes that we want to use, okay, or that the element uses. So let's save this. Remember that we have a form here. We created the form, so we need to append all that. So let me just, we did this with the other one, so this shouldn't be that complicated. So I'm just going to copy this, and the next part I'm going to do it by hand, so don't worry about that. Okay, so it's going to be to the form we created, append the title input, the context area, the cover file, the all cover, because this one needs to be inside the form for us to access that or to work. We append the submit button and the edit form container that we should have that. Nope. We need to add that. So let's say constant, because remember, if we go to post again, we have this edit form container that is where we are going to place the created form. So edit form container equals to document that query selector ID edit form container. So that should be it. Let's go again down here on line 154. So now let me just get that. So now this should work. Let's save this. Okay, but it's not going to be appended actually. So what we need to do right now, I'm getting lost in this ton of code. Okay, so we are here. Okay, so let me just get my okay, so this is the one. I have it differently on my other code, so that's why it took me so long to find that. So okay, let's add the functionality. So when we click this, it appends what we have. Okay, so we need to create another function that is to check if edit I think I have it, edit button is not equals, or let's say equal to null. So we're going to check if we have access to this edit button, and edit button that add event listener. So we need to add a listener for this. The listener is going to listen for the click event on that element, and we're going to add the next listener that is going to be if edit mode is equals to false. So we're going to check for this edit mode. We're going to set it to true. Remember that we're not using jQuery, this is just plain JavaScript. And we're going to say console.log enabling is what edit mode. Okay, it was edit mode, and else Okay, again, sorry, in line 164, inside this edit mode is setting to true. We're going to append edit form. That is the function we created that is going to append the dynamically generated form. Else, edit mode. If edit mode is equal to true, edit mode, we're going to set it to false. Console.log. Disabling edit mode, and we're going to add here a remove edit form function. So what this is going to do is to only, so let's add it below here, constant, is only remove the element from the DOM. So it's constant remove edit form. It's going to be also a function, just a regular function. Let edit form equals to document that get element by ID. Remember that we gave the ID or form this edit form ID, so that's what we're going to get. Now that is appended, okay, when we run this, it's going to be appended. We are going to have access to that ID. So we're going to say edit form and edit form container. We can access that because we are selecting it using the ID. We're going to remove a child, remove child, and which child we're going to remove? The only one it has, that is the edit form. Okay, so let's save this, and we need to add a new variable here that is the edit mode. Let edit mode is going to be equals to false right now. Okay, so we're going to check for that. So if we click edit, you can see that it's going to append the form. That's what that's why I said I wasn't going to add the labels, because you can see that is quite a ton of code that we need to do in order just to show this. Okay, so if you want to append the labels, just create a new label, create element, add label inside that, and append the label to the form. Okay, so you will append child, use the label, and then append the input, and all, and just like that. Okay, so this one is working out, and if we say F12, let's go to console, enable edit mode. Okay, disabling edit mode. So we have the functional form, and you can see that it's getting the title but not the content. So let's see what the hell is going on there. So set attribute, it seems I forgot on the text area. So let me just go back to my code. I think I know what's the problem, but oh no, I know what is the problem. So I was going to wrap up this video here, but you remember that I used the value. So let's scroll here. I use the value to set the post data title, but that is not going to work for the text area. So we still need to do some things inside this function. Okay, now that we have this, okay, we're going to use the ID that we provided to the to this and to the hidden input. So if I click this one, you can see we have this input type hidden, but it's not showing there. Okay, with the ID of all cover. So we need to specify the values. Okay, for this, but we can only access those if they are added inside the DOM. So we actually need to wait for those to be appended, and then here we appended that and then work with those. So okay, so we're only going to do that and close the video. Okay, so this is going to be document that get element by ID, edit content. So you can see we have this edit content for our text area. That value equals post data that content. Okay, and document that get element by ID all cover that value equals to post that data. This is a function that file ref. So this is handling only the name of the file, that in case the user selects a new file, we're going to use this, okay, to delete the previous file. So let's save this and this should work. Okay, it's loading. Sometimes it takes a bit. So let's see. Okay, no errors. And an image element with lazy loaded. Okay, we need to specify some dimensions there to improve performance. Okay, but that's not a big deal here. So edit and type error cannot property value of null. So main.js line 156, just click that and let's see. Post data file ref. Okay, get element by the all cover that value. Okay, I know why. Because you can see the difference here. All cover is with a camel case, with a uppercase C. So all cover, we fix that. Okay, let's wait for the image to load. Sometimes it takes a bit. And edit, and you can see we have no error. So let's click this, and you can see that the value is this one is only the name of the image, and this is what we're going to use in order to delete the previous image in case the user chooses another one. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. It's kinda 23 minutes. Okay, so yeah, let's just leave it here and we will add the update functionality in the next video.